Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Open DAO Ops Stand-Up. Very excited to have you all here. Let's see, what's the date today? Today is March 29th. Devin, how is NFTLA going?
Oh, fantastic. That's it.
That's all we have. I hear we got a note from somebody last night from a music label down there in LA that said that this is one of the best Web3 events that they have ever been to.
Yeah, that was good. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And
that
wasn't even our big event. That one's today.
Nice. What was so awesome about last night's event?
I think it was just like very, again, like they said, very Web3. Like it's just people chatting, art all over, mixture of NFT and like, corporeal art. And just, DJs who knew what they were doing with like, just adding to the culture instead of taking from it.
Oh,
so it was cool. Great. Yeah.
Nice.
It's very LA style, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we had the incense.
That's the best way to put it.
Only sold kombucha and Modelo.
Oh, geez. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, it was good.
So I am pretty excited today because we want to go through a really quick 7-day recap about what has happened over the last 7 days. And I'm going to blitz through this really quickly so we can get on. I also want to introduce Chakram, who's joining us to do onboarding. He'll talk in just a second. Slosh is going to talk about all the various different DAOs that were approved this last week. Devin's going to talk about what DAO tools were launched this last week and maybe some insight into what's happening this next week, although Devin has been swamped with getting the good word of harmony out. He's our proselytizer. He's our evangelist. He is a missionary. See how he had the badge on his chest, just like all of us? Now all he needs is like the tie and a bike helmet and somebody going around next to him, and they're like, oh, Devin's out there knocking on doors.
And you can say that because you've done that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I spent 2 years in the south of France doing that thing. So I am happy to see Devin do it as well. And then Rachel is going to introduce her new project that she's been working on really, really hard. She's creating one-pagers for DAO tools, which is super cool. So it helps people get trained and understand it. And then I'll go through really quickly the funds that have been sent out to DAOs this past week. So with that, let's dive in. Chuck, would you want to introduce yourself? You want to tell us all the wonderful things about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course, 100%. And thank you very much for the edification and introduction. I am Chakram. I come from a foundational marketing background. I'm a brand strategist. Most recently did all the branding and market strategy for NFTLA. ETH Denver kind of turned me on to exactly how much this is the year of the DAO. And I made it my personal mission after working with Sam and Devin on various conferences from New York to Miami and so on and so forth. I made it my decision and mission going to work with Harmony. And I went out and attempted to get it. Sam threw me through the ringer, but we came to terms. And so essentially, I built out an engagement plan that I think is going to be able to help support basically all the DAO ops, kind of making everybody's job a little bit easier. The problem that I foresaw in Denver was that we were giving out a lot of grant funding, but we weren't getting the maximum. We didn't have the maximum potential for return because people who might not be skilled enough to handle a DAO. They might have operational miswoes, or they might not know some stuff technically, or have some of the intangibles. And so what I figured was that we can definitely maximize our availability to make our bottom line, which isn't necessarily financial, but it is success driven. It is ecosystem driven, by having for lack of a better term, some sort of verification or certification program where we could teach we could teach Taoism in a way that you can gain different types of approvals. You can get social currency for this, and that's going to just move you up the ladder when it comes to approvals, when it comes to joining DAOs, when it comes to starting DAOs, and we can make sure that you guys are dead serious about us and that we are dead serious about you in the same right. And so it's a little bit of a, I guess, a protected investment, but also it gives us a way to have a segment instead of just telling somebody no if we reject their proposal. No, you can go back to the program. You can work your way back up, and we want to talk with you. We want to work with you. We just want to make sure that you're qualified too. So I think it's going to clean up the efficiency all the way around, and I think it'll bring just a big hurdle. My first goal and first task that Sam has blessed me with was really creating a brand identity for the DAO program, which I think by having sexy messaging and something that we can all talk about in the exact same light, no matter which room it is or who's talking, and really have something that's really enticing to bring in. I think it's going to really start to open the flow of Taoism and makes Harmony synonymous with the year of the DAO. When you say Harmony, you should think of DAO. So that's me. I'm Shakram. If you got any questions, I'm open. If you need any support, please let me know. I'm anxious to and eager to work with everybody. And if you have any thoughts on the DAO program and verifications and all that, let me know, please. Thank you.
Awesome. So excited to have you here. And you cannot be more right. One of the goals that I have for the entire DAO program on Harmony is that when anybody in Web3 across the board thinks DAOs or thinks about organizing or running a DAO, they truly think Harmony. They think about Harmony in the way of the fact that we have the best tools, we have the best community, we have the people who understand the difference between a 9 to 5 and what a DAO actually looks like, which is pretty exciting. Meanwhile, Devin is quoting Frozen in the chat because he's a child. So
well, you've heard of it clearly.
Dude, I love is an open door. I mean, come on. Kristen Bell, one of the best of all time. She was actually almost a roommate of my wife when my wife was in New York as a musical theater actress. Kristen Bell hadn't quite made it big, but they became friends and they almost moved in together. But they have since diverged. My wife now is, VP of brand, and Kristen Bell is Kristen Bell. So, okay. Let's dive in. Slosh, do you want to talk a little bit? Let me go ahead and I'm trying to see what the best. I'll just share our stand-up notes as the share screen. And you can dive in on kind of what DAOs were approved this last week.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Shock. It's awesome. I really just want to echo what he said. It's something that we're all kind of working towards is Harmony should be synonymous with DAOs. DAO should be synonymous with Harmony. When people want to start a DAO, they should think like, oh, well, Harmony is the DAO chain. Let's go there. They have a vibrant ecosystem, huge community that are all very active in participation. And I think it's really important. So thank you, Shock. So we have approved several DAOs this past week. These DAOs are all sort of conditionally approved. There's just one or two more little details before we can finalize the approval process, but we wanted to go ahead and just conditionally approve them. That is the Sustainable Development DAO. So, I think Colin's in here and Rachel's in here. So, congratulations. Hello. The Harmony Grant DAO is also something that we've approved. And 1 second here. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah. And what is happening here? Hold on a second.
Yeah. Do you want me to pull up the pipeline instead on Airtable?
You pull up the pipeline. I'm also just having trouble. 1 second.
Let me pull up your pipeline. DAOs. Approved. So let's see, we have, which one are you looking for?
I'm looking for the Archie DAO.
Oh, that was right up here. Archie DAO. So the details on the Archie DAO, at the end of the day, and this is, we're starting to move forward with this whole minimally viable DAO aspect, where we're talking about $50,000 instead of 75. We're talking about having a multi-sig, having a community, making sure that they have the various different pieces of what they need. So so it's really, it's actually really good. So this is a comment that actually Slosh posted just yesterday. They've been approved for the grant, which is exciting. They have one or two things that they need to finish, which is the multi-sig wallet and the next election. The multi-sig wallet is there. I think right here, Mikey or forward slash, see, that's, I paused because I'm like, wait, what name are we using for you? I think that they had already established a multi-sig on a different chain, but we want them to make sure that it's on our chain, which is great. So they just have one or two other things to do, and then they're ready to go. But they've been approved, so that's pretty exciting. Now, Mikey, can you tell me a little bit about what the Archie DAO is trying to accomplish?
Yes, the Archie DAO is, I mean, like, they really want to sort of try to figure out how to bridge the architectural and engineering community into Web3. And the reason that I like them so much is because I know that we always try to keep things very public, but, you know, they've reached out to me and just kind of like asked me questions, and I always encourage them to go back to the talk post and make things very public, which they've done. But they're clearly very passionate about what they want to do, and I'm really excited about letting, you know, because like something, if we want to get to 10,000 DAOs by 2026, we have to sort of take a chance on some of these more, you know, like out of the box DAOs. So that's one of the reasons why I really liked the Archie DAO, was so out of the box. But so also something that I wanted to talk about was that Sam has updated the guidelines that include the MVD. So just so everybody here knows that. And so now I'd like to go on to the People DAO, because this is a very exciting one. For those of you that don't know what the People DAO is, it was the Constitution DAO. They were the ones that wanted to buy the NFT, the Constitution NFT. Didn't win. They didn't win the bid. But
to be fair, it wasn't buying an NFT of the Constitution. It was buying one of the last copies of the Constitution in private hands, and they raised $40 million to do it.
Yes.
And then they got outbid by the CEO of Citadel, who, for those of you who followed the whole GameStop craziness last year, he's kind of the villain of Wall Street Bets.
Actually, didn't know that they lost to Citadel. It's interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, but so now they have all this capital, and, you know, like, what are they going to do with it? So the community developed the People token, and now they are a thriving a DAO. They have about 18,000 followers on Twitter. On their snapshot governance page, they usually get around 400 or 500 votes. So I'm really excited to bring them into the Harmony ecosystem. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be a really good one.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, so like DAOs forming natively on Harmony is what I love. I also would love for DAOs that exist outside of Harmony to integrate.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. All right, so where are we at now? The Tucksack DAO.
Yes, Tucksack DAO.
Tucksack. I'm not sure if that's how you say it.
Neither am I.
Might be. I don't know. But they are also conditionally approved, pending a few minor adjustments. They are a totally Web3 social media platform. And right now they're only in Spain. They have several thousand users right now. And so what do they want to do? This is what I asked them. I was like, okay, so it looks like most of your signatories are founding members of this social media platform. And I just kind of wanted to know, are you looking for more of an investment, or are you wanting to actually DAOify your company? And they answered very clearly, very plainly, they want to move their operations to a DAO, which I said, like I can respect that, because Harmony eventually is also going to move our entire operations to DAOs. That's, I think, a couple years from now. But but so what is the benefit for the Harmony ecosystem with the Tuxac DAO? It's to, they're going to build their tokens on the Harmony chain, and they're also just going to, like I never even heard of the Tuxac DAO or the Tuxac social media platform. So I encourage you guys all to go check that out, because it seems to be pretty cool. And I know that there's a couple governors from the Spanish DAO in here as well.
Yeah, I think it looks like a good project. It's one of the interesting things that I've always thought. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a sec so that people can focus on my brilliance when I'm about to speak here. I'm sorry, that was, oh my gosh, I'm going to get burned alive for that statement. So when I started thinking about smart contracts and about blockchain, and when I started, when I was in law school, one of the big questions that we were debating was this right to privacy. And the reason why the right to privacy was so important was because that is the penumbra under which all of the other rights in the Bill of Rights exist. Like the right to not quarter soldiers in your home, not that that happens really much anymore, but that's based on the right to an expectation of privacy. The problem is, as we start bringing on more and more smart televisions, more and more Alexas in our home that are constantly listening to us, we no longer expect privacy in our own homes. As we start using more and more social networks and giving away our personal information for free, we no longer have privacy. We no longer expect to have privacy, because there's no power in us to kind of reject the selling of our privacy. This is what a social network based on blockchain could help us do. I don't know if Tuxac actually does this, but the idea is, hey, yes, you can harvest my age, my gender, my location, whatever it is, and you can sell it on to your advertisers if I give you permission, if you pay me for that. And I have the ability to turn on and off the various different pieces of data that you are hovering up from my online presence. That's my dream. And hopefully Tuxac or a social network based in Web3 can do that, so that we can regain our right to privacy, our expectation of privacy. Anyway, huge digression, but that's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to this particular project.
Yeah. And but so for me, the approved DAOs, that's it. I do want to share that the Lobby 3 DAO just put up a proposal last night, which is Andrew Yang and company's DAO for just spreading the good word of Web3 around DC. So that's exciting.
Yep.
We talked to Andrew Yang in Denver. So
we had
exciting.
we had a really good engagement with that, with Lobby 3 and with Andrew Yang. We have a Telegram channel with Golden DAO, Lobby 3, and a lot of Andrew Yang's initiatives that involve Web3 and crypto. He's actually he's on the forefront of advocacy for blockchain technology and regulation. He is extremely crypto friendly. And so it's great to have him in our corner. We're not in his corner, he's in our corner. That's how this game works, right, Devin? Yeah, that's not how it works. Okay, talking about Devin. Devin, did we get any new DAO tools get launched?
So new DAO tools, Commonwealth did get like officially on-chain launched. So pardon me for being in LA and just having a good time while all of you guys sit at home. We will be doing a webinar with them in early April. We'll also be doing a webinar with Top GG in early April as well. So we'll have those out to you, and this will lead into what Rachel is doing. But those things will be available for you guys to attend, to ask questions, and then also to view later and understand how you can use the tool for your DAO or maybe for yourself personally. I know there's a lot of applications for these things, which is really, really cool. Otherwise, though, nope, Bola Network's still good to go. Charmverse is in beta, but again, working on chain, and you can use them. You just have to join their Discord and expect things to need to be fixed and be able to give feedback on it. But awesome tool, especially if you like Notion. And DWork is also boom, good to go. And Rachel has some things to discuss about DWork. I know she's been using it with the Ambassador DAO and maybe some others, or Bridge Builders. Which one was it, Rachel?
Yeah, we had a call with Ambassador DAO and DWork, and we've all decided we want to use it. Also with Bridge Builders too, we are interested. So those are 2 DAOs that will most likely be using DWork.
Yeah, great tools all around. And One Reputation, I can't speak to the launch date. I know that'd be more Colin and Sam. And then I can say that going forward in April, we've got a long list of tools that we are targeting, Orca and some other very cool ones. The one I'm most excited about.
Zodiac.
Zodiac. The one I'm most excited about is Opolis, which if you guys know what Opolis is, they're great. If you don't, it's essentially like a union of self-employed workers who come together to get insurance for their health and also proof of employment, but as an independent or 1099 employee. So really, really cool how they do that. It's actually structured as a Colorado co-op, but it's very DAO-y, and it's just an amazing tool that really unlocks or tears down the barrier to entry for a lot of self-employed workers, which is I have to insure myself health-wise, and that can be very expensive. So it's really, really great and allows us all to do what we love to do most, which is quit our 9-to-5s and jump into Web3. So yeah, looking forward to bringing those to Harmony, hopefully in April.
That'll be really great. And the team behind Opolis, by the way, they are brilliant. John Poller and Joshua, they actually come from the compliance, the employment compliance universe. They did 10 to 15 years of setting up, HR compliance for all of those Web2 and traditional companies. And they're like, you know what we need in Web3? Our experience. And so not only did they do Opolis, they also started Spork DAO. They also did Buffercord Ventures. They also did a tiny little thing called ETH Denver. Ever heard of it? So it's kind of this thing that we like to go to. I call it the crypto Burning Man. Although a lot less drugs, a lot more actual work. But no, it was great. It was great. Awesome. Rach, do you want me to bring up your
Yes,
bring
please.
up your dashboard, shall we?
Cool.
All right, I'm actually going to share my screen as I navigate through it, so people can kind of see. Our Notion page in general is a little bit hard to navigate. That's why I use the quick find all the time. DAO operations is my favorite page to go to because it's all of our stuff. And this is, of course, all work in progress, which is kind of both the blessing and the curse of Notion. Some of this stuff is great. Some of the stuff is not quite there. But as you scroll down, you can see Rachel's phenomenal work product.
So pretty much I want to create a DAO tooling encyclopedia for the community to just refer to. We have a 1-pager, short, like a one-liner, an overview, and a demo video. I want to have that for all of these. That way, if Sam asks me, what's Commonwealth, Rachel, it's all right there. So yeah, I've been working on that. I'm not sure, Sam, when will this be able to, or when will we be able to share this with the community?
This information here, I think we can share already. And just so that everybody knows, it is an ongoing work in progress.
It's under construction still, yeah. Like Top GG, Coordinate, I still have to work on those. They're still under construction. But I got the demo videos for them. For DWork, if you click on DWork, if you guys were curious to learn about that, we plan on using that with Bridge Builders and Ambassador DAO. I learned a lot from that video there, and also their use cases just from our calls. Those are just notes from our calls with D-Work and information I've gathered.
Yeah. And so this is this whole section will be super valuable as new DAOs are created and as we operationalize the A part of DAO. This is where the automation, this is where the autonomous nature of a DAO comes into play. Now, I have to preface this by saying Notion is where this stuff is living right now. That being said, one of the things that I want to see happen in the near term future is have a subdomain on harmony.1 that'll be something like harmony.1/DAOs. That'll be a lot more user friendly than what Notion is. It'll be very simple. Hey, join a DAO, create a DAO, discover a DAO, work in a DAO, like all of the various different pieces that you can see in a much more Web 2 friendly, user face friendly sort of way. But for the time being, all this information is being hosted here on Notion. For example, one of the
Sam,
things
if you need some support on that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If you need some support on that, by all means, that can be part of the brand identity for sure. So it's not a big deal. Let me know.
100, yeah. So this sort of stuff, for example, is one of the things that I was working on last night, which is we have mandates all over the place. And to understand, hey, if I want to be interested in inclusion, what DAO would I go work at? Well, the Harmony Creative DAO has an emphasis on inclusion, right? And they're going to be DAOs. How many different DAOs have decentralization as one of their mandates? Well, the Validator DAO does for certain, but what are the other versions of decentralizations that we need to work? So this is one of the pages that I have under construction, is a DAO mandates kind of survey page. And then also a DAO dashboard where you can come in here and you're like, oh, let's see, the Golden DAO. What's the one pager on the Golden DAO? What does it look like? When was it established? What was the forum post? How much has it been funded? And as you can see, this is definitely work in progress. But right now, it's not actually 87 DAOs. These are all the DAOs that I was trying to find last night. We're trying to get to 100 DAOs by the end of this month. But roughly it's 67 DAOs that I'm putting together under this dashboard for people to see. But like I said, under construction. Awesome. Anything else, Rach, on DAO tool one pagers?
Yeah, well, not on the one pagers, but I just wanted to share a link with you guys. If you want to get involved in the community discussion surrounding DAO tooling, I wrote up some talking points. Oh, whoops, that was the Notion page. One sec, let me share the right link with you guys. My apologies. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so go to that link, the talk forum post, if you want to get involved in the community discussion. There's just some talking points there, like it asks, like, what are your pain points as a DAO? Is there anything that you want to see or anything that you would like to avoid? If you want to pull that up, Sam, scroll up. Yeah, so what is at the top of your priorities when it comes to DAO tooling? Do you have any pain points that you wish for us to address? Have you used any tools, or are you currently using any tools that you wish for us to specifically evaluate or avoid altogether? So these are just some talking points to kick off the conversation, and some resources that Sam created, the DAO tooling matrix and our DAO tooling target list.
This sort of stuff is actually pretty impressive. And it's one of the projects that we want Harmony to be really, really ranked high on this. So as you can see, all of these various different chains show what DAO tools are on which chain. And we don't currently have a ton here on Harmony. And our goal, Devin, by the end of the week, no, just kidding. By the end of the year, is I want Harmony to have more greens on it than Ethereum does. That may not be possible. Okay, maybe second to Ethereum. But this is one of our metrics. This is one of the things that we are trying to accomplish with the DAO tooling team. So very excited for that. Okay, so next on the agenda are the funds that have gone out. Now you guys may have seen this while I was sharing my screen on this particular, on our notes page. But the last week, we have sent out $225,000 worth of funds. That may have varied a little bit based on price fluctuations of one. But the Nigeria DAO has over 1,000 subscribers or 1,000 followers, and they held a meetup. And so that's two of the milestones for a regional DAO. And so they were funded $20,000. The Beta DAO, which is focused on blockchain applications in Southeast Asia, is that right, Devin? /Beta, I think that's right.
Yeah, Beta
They
DAO
were
is
funded-
for helping pre-entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Specifically, yeah.
That's right. But in the
In
Chinese
Asia.
region.
Yeah,
In Asia.
yeah.
So they received $75,000. The Philippines DAO is a regional DAO. They received $10,000 for translation. The VDAO 1 was funded completely. So that hopefully is resolved. But they received another $45,000 for that. That actually funding did not go to the validator DAO. That went directly to the VDAO 1 multi-sig that they requested it be sent to. And then the Light It Up DAO received $75,000 as well. So all of those funds went out in the last week. I will continue to update you guys on an ongoing basis about how much we have sent out. So that is it for our generic pipeline discussion about what's going on. So since we have a good audience here, about 20 plus people, I will be, if you can raise your hand, I'll be happy to call on you. We can do some Q&A. Let's see, Devin has a blue heart, so he just wants to let everybody know that he is blue, but also he's in love. All right, Bricktop, fire away, bud.
Okay, so yeah, I just had a quick question because I seen Rachel comment on Talk.Harmony yesterday on the sustainability DAO, and she asked an interesting question that really got me thinking. She obviously asked the DAO if they would consider kind of rotation of governors and stuff. Going back to the point of kind of companies coming on board and putting themselves into a DAO structure and bringing it on chain to Harmony, would it really be a requirement for all DAOs to rotate governors? Obviously, with core DAOs and smaller DAOs, it's needed for sure. But would that be essential for DAOs to operate on Harmony that they all rotate governors?
That's an excellent question. For two different reasons.
Yeah.
So the first response I have is I've been trying to make sure that we stop calling these individuals governors and start calling them signatories, because part of what I want to encourage is the fact that a DAO is a more flat structure, and by using the phrase governor, we are creating this concept of, oh, you are the official, you are in charge. Whereas signatories just kind of shows that, oh, you show up when somebody asks you to sign something. And that's really the role of these individuals with the multi-sig contract. That being said, that doesn't answer your question, Brick, because the question is, look, we have other official DAOs that are coming on board, working on Harmony. Do they need to follow our dictates? The answer in some ways is yes and no. Out of the 6972, I have to take a look again at exactly what it was. I think I counted 72 DAOs as of last night on Harmony. A vast majority of them are not DAOs that Harmony has created or that have received funding from Harmony. And so DAOs such as the Euphoria DAO or the DeFi Kingdoms DAO, they have no requirement to have, rotate every 3 months who those 9 signatories are. That's up to their community. And they're some of the most vibrant DAOs that exist. My quick answer is, on the minimally viable DAO requirements, we look for things that would show that you've shared assets, that you've shared responsibility, and that you have a shared interest. We show that you have shared assets in that you have a multi-sig contract with assets in it. We show that you have a shared interest in that we look for a social token, basically a membership token. But the shared responsibility, we look for that vote of 9 signatories with 12 people running with 100 votes. That's not to say that's exclusively the only way you can show a shared responsibility, but it's one of the easy ones that we can do. So that's my quick answer, which is really not an answer at all, but it gets into the philosophy of it a little bit more. I hope that
Yeah.
helps a little bit.
Yeah, it was just my concern is obviously just using the sustainability DAO, which really got me thinking about this. It's really complicated, DAO essentially and what they're trying to achieve. And I know just using Colin as an example, it's his expertise and it's what he does. He spent a long time building that DAO. And to think that as soon as he had that running, within 3 months, he would be up for an election. I'm sure he probably would be happy with that. But it's just kind of one of them things with DAOs where I'm just trying to think, is it really a good time that we enforce that? And is it best that we had like, a certain amount of governors that potentially could stay, but there would be open seats for kind of people rotating from communities outside that for some DAOs. Yeah, I just thought it was worth kind of bringing up the conversation about that.
It's an excellent question. Colin looks like he's either holding his head up or he wants to speak, but I'll turn it over to Colin in just a second. The quick takeaway on this is just because you're not a governor, this is why governor was the wrong word. Like it should have been signatories. Just because you're not a signatory doesn't mean you cannot run the DAO. Doesn't mean you can't have a leadership position in a DAO. Nothing prevents you becoming a leader in the DAO and having a responsible position. The reason why we ask the signatories to change is because it spreads the responsibility amongst the members of the DAO. That's it, right? That means that it's not the same people who are always responsible over and over again. I'm going to turn over to Colin again. Miguel mentioned something. Boone had a comment in the chat that I also want to address. But Colin, go ahead, bud.
Thanks, Sam. So first off, Yoshi, Bricktop, I love you, man. Thank you so much. I saw your comment in the chat and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whirlwind. I wanted to make sure that we could talk about this in a way that's pluralistic, and I want to respect the minimum viable DAO. I did approach in conversation saying, it's articulated within our proposal about where the breakdown of like how the core team splits off from the governors. We call them multi-sig operators, signatories, same difference. But we kind of saw it as eventually having the core team selected from the projects at scale within the Sustainable Development DAO, and the signators be selected from community members, and they carry out operations side. So that would lead to a natural split between project development and operations. However, after hearing this, might it be better rather than maybe like a 2-prong split, maybe like a 3-prong split? I mean, I know it sounds complicated, but like it would basically be project development, you have operations team, and then you just have signatures, which would basically be like treasury management. But that way there's a clear separation between, development operations and treasury access. It would also give a much more inclusive, diverse interaction within the DAO. So if someone maybe doesn't want to be in an operations role, but they still want to be engaged and stay parallel, they can just be a treasury manager. They can just sign when the DAO says sign. So I think by having that split, you can separate within a DAO, but you have to make sure that it's in the public governance that, hey, there is a core team. They do have a set term as well. There's, and especially with most DAOs starting up, everybody wears multiple hats. So it's explaining how each hat comes off and then gets set on the next group of people. So maybe rather than seeing it as like 2 hats to take off, maybe we just have, 3 hats that we have to take off eventually. Maybe thoughts on that?
So so I know that Miguel has a statement, Mikey has a statement. There's also a really good conversation going on in chat. So I'm going to address the conversation in chat really quick, because Boone brings up a really, really good point. If a DAO is run by the governors, and if the governors are placed in their role based on a vote, then this can be a popularity contest and nothing else. Meaning that the people who are running the DAO just have to have the most friends and may not have any expertise at all in what the DAO is trying to accomplish. And that can skew the results of the DAO and the effort of the DAO. That's why the DAO is the thing that's in charge. The community is the thing that's in charge. The governors should not, let me rephrase this. The signatories of the DAO should never make a financial transaction of assets leaving the multisig without a community vote attached. Because the signatories are not the DAO. The community is the DAO. The votes represent the intentions of the DAO. Now, I'm going to step one step further again and say, this is how we establish actually true decentralization. Okay, so we have shared interest in the fact that I am part of the Sustainable Development DAO because this is what I love. This is what I want to do. Just because I'm not elected as a governor or as a signatory doesn't mean that I'm going to stop working on sustainable development. I still want to be part of the project. It just means that my responsibility does not include signing a transaction. My responsibility is something else, taking meeting minutes, digging, holes for the trees to plant, any of that stuff, creating really cool infographics. And I'm not going to leave sustainable development just because I didn't get elected. And the type of people who will leave a DAO just because they didn't get elected, those are the type of people that don't, how do I say this correctly without offending anyone? That's not a DAO. That's not a true DAOist, right? Like, that's really, really tough. Now, the next thing is, okay, hang on, Sam. How do you make sure, just like any company as it started, you have only a handful of people who really understand what's going on, and they may be really, really talented, and we got to pull them together. We got to make them great. Yes, 100% true. But those leaders inside the community will always be those leaders inside the community. And that's what's going to be able to help it move forward. The final piece is this voting thing. Tim brought it up, Bricktop highlighted it in the chat again. It is so easy to do a Sybil attack with the current status of tools on Harmony around voting for DAOs, 100%. But this, Colin just jumped in. Oh, I love you, Colin. This is where the one reputation comes in. The fact is as we start voting with our reputation tokens inside of a DAO, those reputation tokens will be weighted through quadratic voting. And the only way to get those reputation tokens is to participate via Coordinate. And as a result, even if you create multiple, you can create 10,000 different accounts, but all those accounts will only have 1 or 0 reputation tokens. And you're not going to get all of those accounts in through Coordinate because Coordinate has a vouching in system. Like, you actually have to have people to vote you into the DAO circle once you implement the vouching system. It's how they fight Sybil, attacks. Okay, I'm going to pause really quick. Miguel was going to mention something. Mikey still has something to talk. So Miguel, go ahead, buddy.
Just real quick, good morning, everyone. But I think this is why all these discussions are very important. We are trying to figure out DAOs. Every DAO is a little bit different, and how do we create all these general guidelines with against this vast variety of DAOs? But I think what's really important is the weekly meetings that are being taken place with these governors as you work your way, where the idea is working your way to decentralization. And I heard that, do we rotate governors? Some DAOs may not be ready for that, or some DAOs are already for that because there's so much input in it that it's best to rotate governors, and that other DAOs should strive for that agenda. But really, these weekly meetings that these governors hold, and now that we have DAO tooling coming on board, is what's really going to create the next level of innovation in these DAOs. And so everybody right here, we're headed in the right direction of how do you keep decentralization, but yet with accountability.
Yeah, and that's the really important thing, is this accountability. That's one of the most important things. I'm going to move to Mikey and to Bricktop again really quick. I do want to be attentive to the fact we have about 10 minutes left. One thing I will go over really quick is the minimally viable DAO guidelines. Minimally viable DAO guidelines is number one, have a multi-sig. This shows that you have shared assets. Number two, have a vote that has 9 signatories from a pool of 12 individuals with 100 people who have voted on that particular vote. This shows a shared responsibility, okay? And then the third one is a social token. A lot of people refer to this as an NFT. It can be an NFT. It does not have to be. The thing about a social token is that effectively it's a membership card that's on chain. And this is how you show you have shared interest. So if I'm interested in a science fiction book club, then I'll have a science fiction book club token in my Web3 wallet, which can then allow us to gate Notion pages or Discord channels to show voting mechanisms. So it shows that I am part of this DAO. That's the shared interest. So those are the guidelines around the minimally viable DAO. Again, Mikey, I'm going to turn to you.
Thank you. Great conversations, everybody. This is really fun for me, and I'm sure it's fun for you guys too, because my brain is working overdrive and it might blow up in a second. So I also just want to reiterate, like, you know, when you come to Harmony's Foundation for a bootstrap grant, yes, there is certain criteria that we believe is best practices for a DAO. So the bootstrap grant, and then there's the and then there is further funding that can happen after the bootstrap grant. I think there's the operational grant, and then the sustainable or
Expansion
grant.
Internally to my brain, I call it the get the hell out of my house grant.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's because, you know, like when you come asking for the grants, then yes, there's criteria that we believe you should meet. Now, the hope and the goal is, after all of that, the DAO has discovered best practices. Now, once you're not coming to Harmony anymore for funding, the DAO can do what the DAO wants to do. If the 200 member, 400 member, 500 member DAO decides that, like, yes, let's do something different now, then we don't trust anybody. Then do it. Trust yourselves. Anybody can form a DAO in Harmony. You don't have to have 9 signatories. You don't have to have 3-month elections. But if you come asking for the grant, that's where the criteria becomes necessary. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, and we're all learning together. I've learned. I mean, I started back in January, and the guidelines have changed twice. And I think, we really got it with this one. I think I'm really excited about the MVD, the minimum viable DAO. It's going to be good, especially just pushing DAOs to create these tokens immediately. I think that can really start to facilitate a lot of growth. So my last point really quickly is just, you know, I understand the need for getting a project off the ground. There needs to be the core group needs to be there working toward the common goal. This core group should also be bringing people in to help them with their common goal. Because if it's the 9 signatories are the only ones getting paid term after term after term after term, is that a DAO? You know, like, if it's just 9 signatories taking the entire treasury into their own pockets, I don't know. That's just me.
Nope. Yeah, I think that's right. Brick, I'm going to turn it over to you. And then we'll have some final thoughts from the DAO Ops corner.
So yeah, what Mikey was saying there, I do agree with for sure. I think there's kind of like this kind of atmosphere of governors are trying to do all the work and trying to get all the pay. And I see that, and I see exactly why people would think that. I think anyone that really cares about DAOs really wants to move to like this perfect DAO that we speak about for sure. We're really aware, and I think we're really putting much more focus on getting that work into the hands of community members, even without much participation. With applications like D-Work, that really helps that speed up that process and gets kind of the projects and the idea into the hands of people that can do the work. One thing that we're really struggling to try and work out, because we've had kind of community discussions with this, is how much people get paid. You know, what do we pay people for contributing, and who makes that decision? Because the governors making that decision is also bad, right? It's not so decentralized. So I would really ask the DAO operations team to have a think about that and to see what they can find in terms of, you know, what tools do we have that can make that process easier. Obviously, the much more we can remove governors away from doing the work themselves and putting it into the hands of community members, the better. And it is something that we want to move towards in the future, but we need it to work first and to be able to happen in a way that governors aren't having to spend just as much time as doing that process and racking up the hours just by having to spend hours doing that. So yeah, really kind of how much do we pay people for work? I think we've seen kind of ideas like Coordinate, where you get a split percentage and a cut. I don't think that's real. I don't think it's so realistic in practice. And if we want people to dedicate their time, I think they realistically need to be able to understand what they will get in return for dedicating the time away from the families and their work and their spare time. But yeah, thank you so much for that, guys. I appreciate you hearing that.
Yeah, no, Brick, I think you're 100% correct. This is what I'd say. There are several tools that we're working on. One tool, the Coordinate tool, I don't think everyone's compensation should be based on Coordinate. I think that it's a pure bonus system, right? And that pure bonus is what the DAO would use to incentivize the use of Coordinate, so that then Coordinate can be the funnel for having the reputation tokens come your direction. And that's really how that whole flow works out. I think a tool like D-Work is going to be incredibly valuable, so the DAO can say, hey, we have this task. We're going to put, you know, $30 against the task of posting, you know, Twitter posts all week. And then somebody says, okay, I'll do Twitter posts for the Sustainable Development DAO for $30 for this week. And then they do it. Blam, ready to go. But that mechanism still has to go. I'm going to turn over to Ben at Sacred Do really quickly, and then Colin, and then we are cutting off the comments. We're going to go do other work. Go ahead, Ben.
So yeah, one thing I was lately bringing up is something like a kind of a lock token. Would be very interesting if you have kind of a lock token allocated to projects, and then kind of tokenization this into like a CDAO token and say, okay, you contributed your work to this, you get a CDAO token, and it's a kind of a locked money in. And then after a metric is fulfilled, like you have a successful whatever landing page going out, it has a wizard like you say the minimum was 50K per month and it reaches 100K. You can even say, okay, we get a little bit more on top on this as an extra bonus, and then having a withdraw. But also you can stay inside and say, no, I like this, getting a little bit more voting power, and leave my money locked inside the DAO. And the DAO could then even say, okay, this money who is not withdrawn, we will spend in, for example, DeFi lending and get an extra bonus on this. So I'm kind of a really fan of a lock token, because then also people will not run away, take money and just say, oh, I make this work. And then I never go into community DAO again because I grabbed this $50 and it's fun.
Right. And that's a good point. Like figuring out ways to make, we have to balance it, to be fair. like coming in and out of a DAO, there are some legal complications by saying, hey, we're going to keep you in a DAO. We're not going to let you leave. But the idea of being able to say, you know, we're creating a product, we're creating a thing that we incentivize people to stay there. So that is a very important idea. That's something great to noodle on. Ben, if you want to create a talk.harmony.post connected to Rachel's, you know, DAO tooling request, I think that would be brilliant. So we could get some more detailed information to be pulled out of that. Colin, you have the last word.
Man, I don't want to hold people here past meeting time. I was just my statement was just building upon what you said. I think one reputation works really well for the multi DAO dynamic, because not everybody's going to have the same uniform way of building reputation in a DAO. So having a way to show that, hey, I've done work in this DAO, and you get a form of reputation. And as we work on coming up with standards across tasks for the Web3 environment, those standards across tasks could be then linked to the social token. So it could almost be a case of we use those macro DAO tokens to wrap the standardized task tokens. And now you have a DAO specific task token that can be operated across the board. Just to put a little bit out there, I think Bridge Builders DAO has a very good chance of being able to help with that standardization process across tasks. So that is something that we're communicating about and kind of looking at, hey, how do we work symbiotically to each other? Just a little bit more out there for one rep. It's going to change everything.
There you go. It is. It's going to be good. All right. I think that's it for today's call. Let me say this. I think you guys are all great, but dude, it's the same like 20 people from last week. Talk to your friends, talk to your other DAO governors. We need to have more DAOs represented in this call. We have the Ambassador DAO, the Sustainable Development DAO, the Bridge Builders DAO, the Community DAO, the Validator DAO are all represented here, but let's get more, right? We want more. We want people from the Blue DAO.
Can we get people from Niger DAO on this call?
We had one last week, so that was good. But we like keep on building out. Oh, the Dev DAO is here. Terrific. So let's get more and more members of more and more DAOs. Let's see if we can start bringing in DAOs from the non-Harmony sponsored DAOs, right? So if you know people who are part of the DeFi Kingdoms DAO and the Euphoria DAO and the, I don't know, the other DAOs that are out there, Mars Colony has a DAO. Let's bring in as many as we possibly can, because this is not simply about, hey, how do I get funding from Harmony? This is also about, hey, what is the best practices from DAO? So there you go. That's my pitch. Go talk to your friends. This is a multi-level marketing scheme. Go talk to your friends, bring them in. You'll get free Tupperware. No, you won't. But I'll owe you, what's the thing that I owe? Ice cream cones. I owe Brick an ice cream cone. Who else do I owe ice cream cones to? Tim, do I owe you ice cream cones? Oh, Ed, I owe an ice cream cone. That's true. So I just need you guys, come out here to Palo Alto and I'll get an ice cream cone for you. All right, so there you go. All right, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you so much. I will be posting this on YouTube a little bit later. Irene, maybe I owe you an ice cream cone too. I'm not sure. I need to start keeping track of it. We should start doing ice cream cone tokens. Thank you all so very much for showing up. And I cannot wait to see you guys next week. Same bat channel. Wait, no, that's the wrong show. Thank you so much. You'll be here again. As you all know, send our friend Rachel a direct message on Telegram so that you can get your email address added to this meeting invite. And I'll love to see you here. Thank you, everybody.
See you guys.
Sam, bring back
Bye.
the garage.
Peace, everybody.
Thank you.